Here's the announcement. Hasan's Discord partnering up with Kalshi, the future of online leftism. You'll be able to gamble on how hard I will mauled, how long stun locks will be. All jokes aside, I'm seeing ads for Kalshi so much. I'm seeing an endless amount of ads for Kalshi on my TikTok. It's all over the place. They are making an active effort. They're all slop ads too. Yeah, I mean, of course they're slop ads. It's gambling. They say it's a prediction app. Wait, what the Who will attend Zohran Mamdani's swearing-in ceremony? Hasan Piker, 59% chance. If Hasan Piker attends Zohran Mamdani's swearing-in ceremony on January 1st, then the market resolves the yes. What the This is so unimaginably up, dude. Especially because, like, I can tweak it. Like, I can tweak the odds. I feel like I can just like engage in market manipulation and then bet on myself. I feel like there's no rules around this sort of thing. Skip it, bro. I'll put my daughter's college fund on no. We could all get rich. Let me get some of that insider info, big dog. Nothing speaks more to the depravity of Kalshi than the fact that one of the founders of literal Bolshoi trained ballerina and left to start her finance career because she thought of being one of the best ballerinas in the world wasn't fulfilling enough and finance capitalism was better. Yeah, it's nutty, dude. It is so messed up because, like I said, the stock market wasn't enough gambling. That they wanted to infuse more gambling into our gambling, and now you can directly gamble on everything. Wait, is Hasan actually sponsored by Kalshi? No, of course not, man. What? Really? You think I went from saying no to Polymarket offering $1 million to me to saying yes to a Kalshi sponsorship after spending years and years speaking about the dangers of gambling? It's another perfect example of how stupid it is to just be a leftist, because no one will ever turn around and be like, wow, congratulations. Like, I'm glad that you're morally sound, right? That's not the case. No one will say that. Everyone will find a way to make it seem like you're still morally impure or whatever, while also simultaneously, all of the people that are now invested in this shit will get upset because now you're making them look bad. You did gamble on stream. That's one L, but it's true, but whatever. Yes, I went to a horse betting thing in Hong Kong on Austin's stream and I put money down. Yes. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Do you see what I mean? Like, there are differences, okay? It's an event in and of itself. It's content in and of itself. I didn't get sponsored to do that. Also, it's ironic because like all these people are saying that it's not actually gambling when it clearly is gambling. You're gambling on the news. They also said you put 30K on that horse. Yeah, no, because they're stupid. I won 30,000 Hong Kong dollars. South Park episode where Don Jr. becomes like one of the advisors for Kalshi. That was real. That's a real thing. I didn't even know that at the time. So unrelated, but are you attending the swearing-in ceremony? I hadn't even thought about it. And now I don't even know if I can say I'm going to attend it or not because apparently the people are gambling on it, you know? I didn't even realize that this was a thing. DM me the answer. I'm trying to buy some land in Mexico. There's no regulations. I know. It's not great. We were promised flying cars and all we got was degenerate insider trading. I know. A Google insider has been officially exposed on Polymarket. This dude profited $1 million in a single day betting on the Google search markets. Google accidentally pushed the results early, then removed them, but not before it revealed he went 22-23 on his bets and ballooned to $3.9 million in open positions. This isn't a lucky streak. He previously made $150K predicting the early release of Gemini 3.0 before results were out. At this point, it's obvious he's a Google insider milking Polymarket for quick money. It's one of the wildest things I've seen on the platform. It's only gambling if we don't know the answer. My point is, everything is computer, everybody transgender, everybody gambling. Okay, that's the point. And if you can't recognize how devastating that is, if you cannot comprehend how bad this is overall, like Polymarket, Kalshi, all these different applications that are now deciding like, oh, we can just like gamble on everything. You can gamble on the news now. CNN is now collaborating with Kalshi. But hey, guess what? It's not gambling. It's a predictive market where you put money on things that are happening or things that may or may not happen. Is Kalshi the one that incorporates real-time maps in the Ukraine war? No, that's Polymarket. Maybe Kalshi does it too, but the one you're thinking about is Polymarket one, where they also actually did some, not just insider trading, but like they changed the maps a little bit, didn't they? So that someone can make money. This is why I do not respect our elite class and think that the anti-billionaire sentiment is wholly justified and insufficient. Most of them are not rich due to any constructive contribution to society, but are a class of speculators and scam artists making money out of nothing. Yes. Kalshi has an 80% bet that the Democrats win the midterms in the next year. The gambling stuff is so bad. I don't know how to describe it other than like, how can people not see that everything is a vice now? I'm not one of these guys that is in favor of prohibition or any of those things. Like, I personally think, you know, some vices are fine. You know, some moderate amount of vices are fine as long as it's like controlled, heavily regulated, heavily taxed, as long as controlled, right? It's in a controlled environment, because like vices are the spice that makes life more enjoyable. But allowing everything to happen on your phone, like being able to do all these vices on your phone and having these vices basically enter every part of your life, every day, every part of your day-to-day existence is definitely fucked up. You have open corruption of this sort. Trump Jr. joins betting market Kalshi as an advisor. That's insane, right? Except Donald Trump Jr. announced on Monday, this is from January, that he was joining Kalshi, a prediction market that allows users to bet on political developments as a strategic advisor. On election night at Mar-a-Lago, while biased outlets called to raise a coin toss, my family and close friends used the prediction market Kalshi to know we won hours ahead. He used his father's electoral victory as a way to do a ad. He's also on Polymarket's board of advisors as well, and that's part of the reason why it seems impossible to control any of this stuff. Do you see what I mean? Don Jr. isn't just cashing in through Kalshi, though. He also invested on Polymarket on August 26th. A week later, on September 3rd, the CFTC formally allowed Polymarket to re-enter the U.S. to operate prediction markets. Yeah, fantastic story on corruption and regulatory arbitrage. Kalshi named Don Jr. as a strategic advisor to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Kalshi names Don Jr. as a strategic advisor, and the CFTC, Commodity Futures Trading Commission, does a 180 and decides that prediction markets that allow sports betting are outside the reach of state regulators. That's why all of the For You page ads on TikTok are basically talking about like, Kalshi has made it legal to gamble in every state. Like, they literally say it. How are Republicans criticizing Hunter and Joe Biden of corruption when it was more nepotism while they're literally doing the actual corruption? It's because everything that they do is good and everything that the Democrats do is bad. That's what it is. All right. So, yeah, Benjamin Freeman, who is a Kalshi user since 2024, the YouTube channel of his own, says Kalshi is not a gambling company. Saying so is incorrect. I assume that people calling Kalshi gambling are uninformed rather than being defamatory, but Kalshi is not gaming. It's been decided in the courts. Please read the 15 pages of Kalshi X LLC versus CFTC before spreading misinformation. Adam Johnson says, Lamau, it meets every definition of gambling, but please refer to this overly technical court ruling for why the thing that is obviously gambling isn't gambling. Good luck with that. Yeah, the reason why that court case was decided the way that it was is so that people can say, oh, yeah, it's not gambling, actually. That's it. But no matter what it is, as long as it generates enough revenue, and then you can take all that revenue and then dump it into corporate lobbying, corruption, and also dump it into marketing, then you're fine. You can get away with it. That's all this is. And that's precisely what's going on with the sports washing that you see. And the reason why I'm talking about this today, obviously, is because of the CNN collaborative relationship with Kalshi, which I think is pretty devastating. Some of this stuff is so crazy that it literally is not even on Cyberpunk. Like, these are things like this, like a betting app collaborating with a major news outlet, unironically is something that I don't even think exists in like a Black Mirror style dystopian future. Like, it goes beyond previous cynical predictions, previous pessimistic predictions of how bad things are going to get. It's pretty interesting when the real world existence ends up outflanking the awful stuff that people are predicting in their most pessimistic moments.
Mark, you've mentioned multiple times that you think prediction markets will be bigger than the stock market. What is it going to take to become $1 trillion asset class?
It's pretty much already like a close to $100 billion a year asset class, right? Like, it's pretty easy to imagine a 10x from here. Like, we haven't even started. It's been a year. I think a very large number of people care, much larger than traditional markets. And I think retail as a pie has just been growing in the US, and I think it's going to keep growing. It's growing in the stock market, but it's growing outside of the stock market. The long-term vision is to financialize everything and create a tradable asset out of any difference in opinion. And I think if you do build a general purpose exchange that can resolve differences of opinions on anything, like the TAM is quite massive, quite a bit bigger than the current TAM of the stock market. I think putting aside sort of the retail trading and the institutional trading product, like there's sort of this separate product, which is like, we are living in a world where like we have an abundance of information, but there's a lot of noise, and like we don't really understand what's real from what's not. And prediction markets are an antidote to that. They do a very, very good job at distilling information and surfacing truth to people. And you're seeing this sort of massive shift where like people are using them whenever they think about questions about the future, you know, whenever they're debating about anything. And I think that trajectory is going to keep going. That's a new consumer habit that I don't think is going to be undone.
Awesome. The co-founder of Kalshi says the long-term vision is to financialize everything and create a tradable asset out of any difference in opinion. I wonder what this will look like, dude. Folding Ideas said 4 years ago that the ultimate role of cryptocurrencies was the financialization of everything, and he said it is an extreme pejorative, and this freak is out here bragging about it. Yeah, no, that's precisely what's happening. They want to financialize rage bait. And also on top of that, as long as someone is like slated to make money off of it, they will also then manipulate the outcomes to the best of their ability. Like that things are going to get even more dystopian. Getting kidnapped to be brought to the Zohran Mamdani inauguration to fulfill their yes gamble, or the opposite, trying to stop me from going to the Zohran Mamdani inauguration because they dumped a shit ton of money into it, right? Like the opportunities are endless. There was a verified poly market bet where the market resolution was the opposite of reality. That's also the other thing as well. Adam Johnson says, what's noteworthy about CNN entering into the gambling business with Kalshi and letting viewers wager on genocide, war, and famine is that it receives zero critical coverage from mainstream media. They've entirely embraced the press release framing of the prediction market data nonsense. And it's pretty obvious that this is a gambling app, right? It's a gambling app that lets you gamble on innocuous shit. And yet the media is not covering it as such. And the reason why the media is not covering it as such, or have any sort of interest in covering it in a sincere manner, is because they are financially incentivized not to do so because they're openly collaborating with Kalshi. People who freaked out, I know hypocrisy fishing is idiotic for the most part, let's be real. It doesn't work on people who are ideologically invested in a cause, and Republicans are ideologically invested in Donald Trump and his family. So let's be real. It's never going to work in terms of changing people's minds. But it is pretty crazy because these are the same people that shit on Hunter Biden over and over again and shit on Joe Biden because Hunter Biden trafficked his last name to get a nepotism job, a no-show job in Burisma in Ukraine. He wasn't able to actually manipulate anything, contrary to popular opinion. With respect to Joe Biden's interventions in Ukraine. Joe Biden's interventions in Ukraine, as a matter of fact, played the opposite role of what Hunter Biden would have wanted. But regardless, this was a major point of contention for the Republicans. And yet, what Donald Trump Jr. is doing with Kalshi and with Polymarket is far worse, far more consequential, right? News sites are all getting press releases from these betting sites, and they just publish their PR as stories with no editing or journalism. Exactly. It's a perverse incentive structure that exists. What's noteworthy about CNN entering the gambling business, yeah, exactly, is that they're doing press releases for these companies. There's an institutional conflict of interest in our media, says Adam Johnson, whether sports or politics, not to be critical of the unchecked rise of gambling in media because the C-suite correctly views it as a cash cow, so the vast majority of mainstream media just look the other way and shrugs. Even independent creators don't discuss the issue because one of the few reliable sponsorship opportunities for an independent creator is gambling companies, so it's just treated as inevitable and normal. I've personally seen this. The most amount of hate that I've garnered throughout my career after Israel comes from my anti-gambling position. Unless the state stops it, capitalism will financialize everything, says Ben Norton, turning it all into a casino with rampant insider trading. The legalization of sports betting in the U.S. led it to spread like cancer. Now the corporate media is turning the news into a gambling opportunity. And capitalism, along with deteriorating material conditions, makes people more desperate and more reliant on these get-rich-quick schemes that in the past were correctly considered, stupid tax. And there's virtually no way of stopping it. It's difficult to tell where the line is with these things. Almost no one wants to criminalize gambling as such, but the full-blown corporate financialization of every unpredictable event in our lives is clearly out of control and definitely should not be integrated into the news. The U.S. is creating an economic system that incentivizes everyone to use their insider knowledge to gamble on everything and try to scam everyone else who don't have insider knowledge. Yeah, going back to the Google insider who's officially been exposed on Polymarket. someone on Polymarket was betting on the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and there was an unauthorized edit to Ukraine's frontline maps or something. And the speculation is that because someone was making money off of it, that they actually did this unauthorized edit to Ukraine's frontline maps. Like they straight up manipulated it so that the bet could close. Worst part is the war maps are not official in any way. Every war map is updated by some map autist guy who pinpoints soldiers' presence from like a 144p video, so it's easy to manipulate. Yeah. Hustle culture is going to lead to the collapse of our civilization. I think the hustle culture is growing as material conditions worsen. That's my opinion. America, in many respects, is the perfect place to do this because like America was the proto-capitalist nation. And American culture is very much hyper individualistic. It's always about like getting your money up and not your funny up. So in many respects, this is like a perfect opportunity, a perfect country to do this kind of thing, especially at a time when people are suffering. They create this incredibly reliable base of support, and people end up straight up fighting to preserve this structure that actually exploits them, that actually relies on how vulnerable they are, that relies on their desperation. Because people go, what do you mean? You just don't want me to win, dude. Why are you telling me that this is bad? I have no other option. I have no other alternative, says you, rich guy, right? And that's what it is. It's pretty horrifying when you think about it.